Hello friends, my name is Old Man Cloud. I upload daily Bazaar gameplay videos to my YouTube channel. Let's jump in. Been playing a little bit off stream and have discovered, I think, that electric eels is possibly the best item in the game at the moment, at least in this meta. It's the only way I've been able to find to semi-consistently beat Bethesda Dooley. So I'd love to get a run together that kind of demonstrates that on record. So that's the kind of aim of this run, but let's see how it plays out. You can kind of force electric eels, but only to some extent. So we'll see how we go and be open to other possibilities as well. Shark Claws is a good start. I've done what I always do and just completely spent all my money on the first shop already, leaving myself pretty much broke for the rest of the day. A questionable strategy. Wasn't an amazing enchant start here, but combined with Shark Claws, and if we can find a way to buff your crit chance a bit more, maybe you can be decent. Or we can consider transforming our Calico friend here into a better item with the Obsidian enchant, and it gives us the friend event for extra XP. So can't complain about that. Shark Claws, a very, very strong early upgrade.
The quicker the fight.
Early scaling is king at the moment, especially against Mac. So yeah, I got kind of sick about coming... I kind of got sick of coming up against Bugs, and decided to try to come up with a way of beating it. I'm sure other people have done likewise. And the most consistent way I found was electric eels. Especially once you put an enchant on the electric eels and get them to kind of gold or diamond. They just go off so fast against Bugdooley. And very often I found I was killing Bugdooley before the Dualtron nuke could even go off, which is a pretty strong sign. And eels are not particularly rare. You can get them from a couple of bosses, I believe, or at least from Prince, the Prince Marianus. And so it feels to be a relatively strong archetype in the current meta. Eels. It goes well with Crow's Nest, goes well with Shipwreck. There's some other synergy you can consider with it, so that's a nice upgrade, I think. Don't really know what he does when he upgrades. Gains crit chance faster, I suppose. And sure.
Go make some more stories, then come back and tell me.
And sure. So it just seems to be everyone on the ladder at the moment is playing Bugdooley. I guess if all you care about is climbing the ladder, extremely powerful, highly forcible build like that is always going to be favoured, especially when it has relatively quick matches. And I do like trying to kind of stay that little bit ahead of the meta. And I feel like the way to do that at the moment is electric eels. But who knows, maybe this run ends up in a completely different direction. So we'll take it one step at a time. For the time being, we've got a decent kind of weapon spam Vanessa build going here. And I believe we should get to level 3 before... We will get to level 3 before the next fight. Although we don't have too much strong to put on the board. While we're relatively strong, let's try to take another fight. Pretty sure we can take on Coconut Claw Crab. Don't think we'll be making the Crusher Claw build work again. That felt like a bit of a one-off. How's this guy doing? So by the time he goes off for the first time, he's already on 35% crit chance, and he's hitting pretty hard. So he certainly has a place in a weapon spam build, I'd say. Although, I mean, we got him with Obsidian, which has to be one of his strongest possible enchants. But even so, that's a nice bit of extra health as well. Tempted to take ammo because it's very likely to be weapon, which is all we really care about. And we got a dupe revolver, so we can dual wield our revolvers. This build looks pretty strong to me, especially against a hopefully squishy Mac.
I may be young for a captain,
but I've seen my share of storms.
It'd be pretty typical to force an Eels build and then to not run up against a single bug dually. But that would also mean we're not running up against a single bug dually, so I'd be okay with that. Yeah, look at how squishy early Mac is. Never stood a chance, brother. Never stood a chance. When you're playing Weapon Spam Vanessa, you just try to rush down as many early wins as you can possibly get, and then hopefully find a way to pivot somewhat into a later build that has higher prospects as the game goes on, because this certainly has a little bit of a expiry date, this type of build.
My battle days are over.
Bit too late for Langjon. Don't have a vehicle or large item to reduce your cooldown. What have we got rocking here? Where did you come from? Oh, we dug up a pet rock. Unfortunately, we've got lots of friends, so you won't be any good for us. Let's have a roll. Nothing there. I feel like we can take on any of the AI here. We've got a lot of initial damage and then a lot of scaling as well, coming in from our Silver Shark Claws. Yeah, Kaliko is hitting really hard here. Maybe I was underrating what a great start this is. Still feels like an early game chap. I guess the benefit is you don't need to find other ways of getting crit chance onto your weapons, or onto this guy in particular anyway. Let's get some more weapons going here. Super spammy. Could consider pivoting into some type of cannonade build.
You're probably too skilled.
Would love to see strength, but if we're not going to see strength, we'll take right-handed and stick you on a fast-firing weapon. Or do we stick you on Piranha with the crit chance? I think we'll stick you on a revolver, a faster weapon. And let's have a look at small items, seeing as that seems to be the build we're kind of leaning into. Bayonet certainly is decent and certainly is better than Zorkid. Problem is it's not a weapon that goes off, so it doesn't benefit things such as Cannonade. But for the time being, we'll use you with the revolver, and can't really afford the reroll. Pet Rock can go, of course, in the politest possible way. Was gambling on a strength there, but I think we're in a pretty strong place for early, and we love to see these max. Send all the squishy max this way, brother. Although, the whole purpose of the run being to try to demonstrate the strength of electric eels. Wouldn't mind seeing some dualies at some point, but can never complain about not seeing what is, without a doubt, the strongest build in the game at the moment in Bethesda dually. Look at look at that brutality there. Really has a rough time early days against Weapon Vanessa, does our friend Mac. None of these I'm particularly interested in. You're better than you. You're gone. Maybe we consider Shadow Cloak if we see it, and maybe we take some weapon buffs, like that. I guess we take that, and I think it has to be Shark Claws to get the reduced cooldown. I don't think we roll with how little money we have. Would be nice to get our econ a bit better sorted. With that in mind, let's just take a free option. So we've got no even remote pivots in mind here. We're just all aggro all the time. Here's where we could pick up our eels.
Drown in my wrath.
So yeah, what I found is this just works so well against Bug Dually. Really, really well. For clear reasons. They're spamming their items all the time, especially the build. Oh, we might lose here. It works well against us as well, as it turns out.
I will sink this
But
city.
Kaliko gets the job done. Bug Dually relies on spamming their items very, very quickly. So especially at gold and especially at diamond, the eels just charge so quickly. We don't get them, but we'll take that.
Rally men, blades to the wind.
And tend to take out the dually very, very quickly. That's the skill we were looking for. So we're a real menace early game here. You're a potential pivot, but not with how well things are looking here. You're a cool shrimp, really cool shrimp. I think we'll take a cutlass and play it over this rubbish and this rubbish. And we'll... You're effectively going once every 3 seconds with the multicast, so I think we'll put you there with bayonet. Play it something like this. And sure. And let's just take some money here. That's a good pickup. I think we'll play you over our piranha, a dually. Grenade can stay just for the initial burst.
We're out to
Is it someone leaning into Bug Dually?
squabble.
Can we ruin their life? Bugs. Bugs, 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 bugs. But they look, I mean, they know what they're doing. They're going for the meta build of bugs and power drill. I feel like we burst this down fine. Yeah, we do. So, I mean, one counter to Bug Dually is killing them before they get the crux of their build online. This is an extremely, extremely aggressive Vanessa build that we've ended up leaning into, despite that not being the original purpose of the run. This guy is doing serious work. His crit chance is getting up there so quickly. And then with double crit damage and double damage, he's hitting extremely hard.
Ah, a friend. I mean, a customer.
Nothing here. And nothing here. What did we dig up? Matchbox. Not for our build. Can be fun picking up Matchbox as a class it's not intended for, but not what we're looking for. Let's take Temporary Boost because it's such an enormous boost to our board. And will help us continue kind of trying to get over that line. As I said, this type of build has an expiry date, but at the moment we're on a perfect run. Do we burst down Scoville? Is he the chap that gets a lot of regen? Feel like he is. We still may be able to burst him down. We're so bursty. Really don't want to risk losing though. So I think we'll take on this fellow.
I hate flying.
I wouldn't say no to the Shadowed Cloak. You'd probably try to find a way to make that work. Yeah, look, we probably could have taken on Scoville. I'm underrating just how devastating we are. That was with one swing of the Sharp Claws, buffing our board there. So much damage. It's diamond, so there's no reason not to take it, and you could potentially help us reload our grenades, which would be very nice.
Buy my weapon.
You're a cool rock.
And you might.
Let's upgrade our bayonet. Do we consider getting the rock on the board? Me when I'm casting a terrible movie? No, it's not worth it. There's the eels. So let's pick it up.
You carry my weapon?
Seeing as we're trying to demonstrate the strength of eels against dually with this run. I don't think we play eels quite yet, especially because it only really comes into its own once it's at least gold tier. Just take the free item. But it's a great item to have in the bag, because if we need to go into the later game, it gives us a way of doing so, or even though we don't have a huge amount of support for it yet. It can fit on just a weapon spamming build, I suppose, but really you want to be building around it a bit more with items like Crow's Nest, Silencer, Shipwreck, that type of stuff. And there's also the possibility of leaning into a Lighthouse build. I think we kill this Mac before you get a chance to do anything, I'm afraid, brother. And not even close. Yeah, we're not quite as strong as that made us look, because that was with Temporary Boost, but even so, that's extremely satisfying. Set out to counter the dualies, have accidentally ended up countering the Max instead, I think.
Take your time.
Let's have a look for Shark Claws. Don't see it. Captain's Wheel goes okay with eels, but ideally you're not relying on haste, you're relying on charge. Monkey is too slow for our weapon spam build. and we can't afford anglerfish to go with eels, even if we
Real friendly guy.
even if we thought it was worth it, which is probably borderline. Could definitely use some money here. Don't see you coming back on the board, but we'll hold on to you. Let's just take income, seeing as at the moment we're basically either rushing to 10 or we're going to end up going into the longer game. So I'd love to upgrade eels to show to show what I originally set out to show, but I think the play is to upgrade shark claws at the moment and just try to get in as many early runs as we possibly can. Still don't think we can take on the leech. Let's take on a mosquito in the hopes for either this. Actually, we don't need the skill because we're not slowing, but we would love the CVR. So let's take on the mosquito for CVR. This chap is hitting so hard. Maybe could have considered upgrading this fellow, but shark claws is really the crutch of the main item in the build here. Stinger is interesting, but no. Bit of cash at least. Of these options, let's just work at the docks. Way too late for Bronze Regal Blade, but would have been fun to make it work if we got it early on. Let's take a freebie as we try to sort out Econ a bit. That's a nothing. So we didn't improve it all that day, but if you keep on bringing us some squishy max, we should be fine. We're up against North Korea.
Young for a captain, but I've seen my share of storms.
What are you rocking? Leeches, obsidian. It's a life-steely. Force Spike is bad news for us, but I think we still out-damage you. Floor Spike is another potential way of looking at. Yeah, I mean, it's not even close. Floor Spike is another way of looking at dealing with spammy builds such as ours that spam a lot of weapons. But as you saw there, we're just in such a good place against Squishy Mac. Let's take the Sharpening Stone. I think at this point it's looking increasingly likely eels are never finding their way onto the board. Maybe we try to demonstrate the effectiveness of eels with another run, because as of now, I'm inclined to try to rush this towards a perfect 10
Now this will
super
inspire
smooth sailing weapons build. Especially if we could pick up another weapons-based skill here. That's pretty nice. Crit chance on the Cutlass is pretty juicy. Could also stick it on Kaliko, but he's getting crit chance through the rest of our build just doing its thing. So let's grab it for Cutlass. And I'm pretty sure we can take on our boy Chili Charles here. Just for the XP. Would have preferred you not to freeze that item, but even with that, I think we should be fine. Especially if we can get some reloads on our grenade through Flashy Reload. That would help a lot, in fact. We're scaling. Our Kaliko is a little nuclear bomb that's going off. It should be enough. Yeah, Kaliko is just devastating. Turns out Obsidian... Calico? No idea. But Obsidian chap over here is very, very strong. Don't really plan to be doing any freezing, but we'll grab it just in case.
I would never.
Our board isn't even particularly strong. Like, we're rocking silver hand axe, silver grenades, silver revolvers. There's nothing particularly strong going on here. It's just a pure weapon spam build. I'll take you.
You want to buy that? I mean, excellent choice.
You're worth keeping in the bag in case we get a cannonade, in which case we don't want to be playing Bayonet and we'd play Grape Shot instead. Because you go off every 4 seconds, which means I think we can get rid of Piranha, like so. For the time being though, I think Bayonet's better. And let's have a look at items. It's tempting to go Gumballs. Silver Julian? Still don't think so, I'm afraid. Still just a bit late and a bit slow for this pure aggro build. Another max, so we've certainly gotten lucky with our matchups. We've ended up... I think we've played against Mac every day, and we've got a build designed to beat Mac, but they're going to start taking us over in strength. That's a nasty retort. Me when I'm in a debate. Come on, Kaliko. All our hopes lie on you. Don't get slowed, brother. Yeah, we get that. Such an aggressive build. This Shark Claw is just carrying us. Shark Claw and Kaliko really carrying us. There's not a whole amount going on. We really don't have any busted skills or anything. We did pick up strength, which is helping a great deal.
I pay well for
But this is just the strength of weapon spam, Vanessa. Holsters over bayonet is certainly very interesting. Get everything off the ground faster. But it doesn't help Shark Claws go fast, and that's really what we care about. So I don't think we pick it up. That's a great upgrade. Our boy. What are you doing now? You're now scaling your crit chance even faster. So you're going to be getting to 100% crit chance very fast. And then you really do hit like a nuke.
Ride that tide!
Can we scrape our way to 10 wins before the build runs out of steam? Skills are a great way of doing that.
Are you prepared?
None of these though. That's what we want. Bloodhound is a huge get for us. That immediately improves our kind of long-term chances of getting this to a rush 10 piece. Should have no issues here. Especially with our nuclear weapon on the left here.
Fashion requirement override. Welcome to the club.
Don't think there's anything here we want to work. Maybe katanas we could try, but Gatling gun is just too slow. And I don't think eels... Oh, we'll hang on to it. Because if we start losing and have to go late, it might be time for a bit of a pivot. But I don't think this will be the eels run that I had in mind. Won't be playing you with Kaliko. So I think we have a look... Oh, so the temptation is to go aquatic and have a look for figurehead, which massively improves the run. But I think the better play is to take our temporary boost and try to make sure we win here. Another Mac. So maybe, I don't know, I assume the meta hasn't changed overnight in any way. But to me, there seems to be a preponderance of Mac on the meta today at the moment. Whereas yesterday it was very much a Vanessa meta. You're rocking a Toxic Covetous Ravenclaw, but that's going to be too slow, I believe, against us. Way too slow. We're nasty, especially with that temporary boost. This is just pure aggression.
Now this is how you win a war.
Whoa, wee wah. That's what we want. It has to be Cutlass, I'm pretty sure. What else could you make an argument for? You can make an argument for Grenade because it's so much burst damage right off the bat. But I think Cutlass is the play here. And in which case you actually don't want to play Cutlass with Bayonet. Because you want the damage on Cutlass itself from right-handed. So that it benefits more from the crit with double crit damage. So you want it something like this. Which means you want Bayonet on your fastest weapon. Which it is. Do you even bring in this now? Goes off every 4 seconds. Whereas this is effectively going off every 4 seconds as well. 50 versus 42. So Bayonet's still just a little bit better. Yeah, nasty. Really nasty. Don't really want any larges at the moment. Let's try our luck here. Give ourselves a couple of rerolls. Could offload our shovel at a slight uptick. Not super interested. Let's try one more. That'll do. We want you on just something that goes off fast, basically. Which is probably going to be one of our revolvers. Are we going to stick with our revolvers? Or do we put you on Shark Claws that we're almost certainly sticking with? Let's put you on Shark Claws. It's slightly less effective than sticking you on Revolver, but Shark Claws are very likely to stick around. And in fact, Shark Claws slow 2 items. I wasn't aware of that. So that probably makes it especially better. And it has a bit of synergy with Slow and Steady. Actually, a lot of synergy with Slow and Steady. so that Shark Claw is buffing our board even more, and with Trained as well. So accidentally and fortuitously, we just picked up a very synergistic enchant with our build there. Nothing here. So on the lookout for a temporary boost today to help continue getting us over the line. And I'm pretty sure we can take on the Death Knight, but grabbing Big Ego from this chap would be extremely juicy. But Bloodhound is probably the best skill in the game for a pure aggro deck like this, because we're going to get him below half health and we pretty much just charge our board halfway through again. And just makes us so aggressive. I mean, if you're looking for a way to counter Mac in the meta, Golden Revolver. Do we play the triple revolver build? I think so. Play it like this. Although again, you're actually better than a revolver. Although revolvers give us more crit chance. Something like this maybe. Lose the initial burst from grenade. But playing tripled revolvers is just kind of funny. I think let's go with that, and I don't think you're coming back on the board. Sure, let's see if we can take some wide weapon scaling. Yeah, if you're looking for a way to counter Mac, we've got a bit lucky with what's come together here, but in general, weapon spam Vanessa really is very strong against Mac in the meta at the moment. Let's probably put you on Cutlass now. I feel like Bloodhound was a huge get, and we've got lucky with our enchants as well. But overall, the build just matches up really well against the meta, even if you don't get particularly lucky. Which isn't to say that you're always going to get to 10, or that we're even going to get to 10, especially if we start running up into Bug Dually. But it's a pretty reliable way to climb the ladder at the moment, I would say. We didn't get temporary boost, and we're up against a Vanessa rather than a Mac, so this is a test of how strong the build is. But it's a Vanessa that's having a little bit of a hard time, although the fact that they dropped to lethal means that they've gotten 2 enchants. Whereas we've only gotten our level 10 enchant, plus we lucked into one, I suppose. Restorative Tripwire is very bad news for us, but I feel like we're still going to be scaling a little too much. Once Kaliko starts hitting, it's going to be tight. We need our Cutlass to go off. It didn't. We were a split second away from winning that. Look at how close that is. But that's an absolutely devastating loss for our 10-piece chances. Because we really need to go quick.
Bones sink to the bottom.
Steel Storm's a phenomenal pickup. So I think we're still, especially with that pickup, and let's take a random enchant as well, we're still nasty and still capable of rushing down builds, but the odds of getting the 10-piece drop significantly with that loss because we have to go a little bit later. What are we putting a random enchant on? Probably our Golden Revolver. Bit of survivability, sure. Let's have a look at weapons. You're cool. Well, Diamond Kaliko has to be done. You, I assume, now scale your crit very quickly, so you'll probably be up to 100% crit by the time you're going off once, which is nice. Even with the Obsidian enchant, you're useless. Do we take you and try to transform you? If we can afford you, which we can't. That would be a pretty decent play though, if we had a lot of money. And nothing here is useful. Yeah, take that Obsidian enchant and try to transform it into a better weapon would have been good. I feel like we match up pretty well against Void Colossus, because we don't really care too much about... We're not super dependent on any single item. Shark Claw is probably being the worst one to destroy, but I mean, it doesn't matter at all. We're a universally nasty build, really. And on the left and right are two very strong weapons.
Let's take the tyrant's home.
Let's take loot. Feather would have been the best. Don't think grenade's coming back. prospect of bursting enemies down in a single volley is quite low now. We're still playing super burst build, but it's likely going to take a little longer than just one volley. Maybe not now with Strong Brew. Now we're really nasty. Another Vanessa. Would still prefer to see Max. Haven't seen a single dually after I complained about bug dually being so prevalent in this meta. And trying to come up with a way to counter it. We haven't seen a single one. Oh, you're playing this. That's really cool to see. Are you making it work? Kind of. Don't think it's quite enough against us though. But that's cool to see someone playing with an enchanted Toxic Sea Dog Saloon. Multicast 5 because of all your friends. Still seems a little underwhelming even with the enchant. Hopefully it's better than it looks. Cool to see someone using that item though. So we're on 9 now, even though we lost 1. We really want to get the win today, rather than having to go one day later. So I'm going to do everything I can to try to force the issue today, including spending on chocolate. I think that the Eel's Dream is dead, Bronze Shovel is irrelevant. Taking the temporary boost. I'll try to get an Eel's run together another time, but I guess you can also just take my word for it that if you're finding yourself up against a lot of bug dualies, electric eels are incredibly, incredibly strong, especially paired with Shipwreck. So we're just taking Archon for the XP. We got our temporary boost, so we really just hope we come up against a build we can rush down. Don't think Eclipse really fits with what we're doing, unfortunately. Let's give it some thought. I mean, maybe it does. When you use an item deal 100, we could take off you, and you, and play Eclipse like this. Give it the damage buff over to the left. Whenever I use an item, it's now dealing 200 damage, which is nice. But the real benefit is that when I fall below half health, it triggers all our items, including very hard-hitting Cutlass, very hard-hitting Calico. Albeit you're scaling your crit a bit slower now. It's a little less spammy, the build, but I think it's stronger. I think the benefit is really the fall below half health. Everything gets procced and it gets charged 2 seconds from Bloodhound. So the moment, although Bloodhound is their half health actually, so they proc at different times. But I think this is better. And let's upgrade. Do we upgrade Shark Claws into Diamond? Or do we try for a skill? I think we'll take the Diamond Shark Claws. Just because damage scaling is so important with this build. Your damage scaling impacts the Eclipse and the Cutlass. Hope that's not a throw, but... And it's also, I mean, it's fun to use legendary items when you get them. This is the Guardians of the Galaxy build, right? The weird, kind of weird rodenty type creature in a spaceship. I'm sure I just offended a lot of people may not have been a fan of that one. What's Rocket? Rocket's a raccoon. What's this guy? No idea. But anyway, let's call this the Guardians of the Galaxy build. I mean, Dam plus Eclipse is a pretty busted combination. Let's think of how it works. First time you fall below half health, use all your items. So Dam gets used automatically when we fall below half health. It destroys our board and their board, other than our Eclipse and most likely, and any large items that they have. And we most likely win from there with just the Eclipse, although not necessarily. Yeah, I think, even though it's a super fun combo, I kind of like what we're doing at the moment. Dually. This is the test, I suppose. Maybe we beat bug dueling now that we have the Eclipse?
I may be young for a captain, but I've seen my share of storms.
Bugs, 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 bugs. Bulldozer instead of Dualtron. I think this should be okay, just because of Spaceship, as nasty as the freezers are. Come on, stuff happened. Yeah, stuff happened. So I think we lose that fight without the Spaceship proccing. Just because of this stupid freeze bug. And I mean, this is the meta dually build, plus some pretty strong skills. So I think we lose... very strong skills. I think we lose this fight if we just go on weapon spam. And we win it with the Spaceship. So there you go. Incredibly efficient aggro Vanessa. Spearheaded by this new Calico fellow, that did extremely well for us, with kind of a late pivot into a legendary Spaceship, which is always fun to see, and a relatively straightforward 10-piece. Thank you for those who watched and for those who are enjoying the content. If you did enjoy the video, please consider hitting the subscribe button. I'm still at that kind of point of the channel where every single subscriber means a great deal, so it's a chance to make my day. And I'll see everyone next time. Cheers.